Libya. It is now, we find out from ABC News yesterday, and there's congressional hearings beginning today, and this is huge. The president lied to you on day one. They knew in advance that there was trouble. The ambassador knew that there was trouble. The ambassador asked for help. He was rejected. The State Department now is coming out, and this is very important. The State Department people are starting to say, I'm going to survive. I am not going down with this ship. And now the State Department is coming out, and they are warning the American people. The media will decide whether or not this actually makes a difference. But this is huge. And it's huge in the conclusion part. I'll show you why. So the White House knew. The White House has lied to you for 30 days. Right to your face. And more importantly, they've used this crisis to further a Muslim Brotherhood agenda point. Get people to stop. They've arrested the guy. Didn't they arrest the guy for making the videotape? I know they held him for a while.
They didn't arrest him for that, supposedly. They arrested him for a separate probation violation.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, point number one. You've been lied to massively. It affects your security. 3, the crisis has been used by this president to further a Muslim Brotherhood agenda point. 4, good guys in the State Department, the administration, the DOJ, and the Pentagon are stepping up to the plate and giving sources like us and ABC and NBC and CNN news and saying, please get this news out. Here's your conclusions. You have to tell the truth. You have to be the one that becomes an expert on this story, and quickly. And you have to be able to have the facts at your fingertips. Pat and Stu, could I ask you guys to put together some clips and stuff in a timeline? I know they're doing this for TV tonight. We're putting a timeline together, but can you make sure that we have it ready for radio as well? So you could have these clips and you can make this case. Find all the best sources, utilize our own sources, but get everything together, and let's put this together on a package so you have it, so you can then go and tell your friends and explain exactly what happened and why it's important. But the media is not going to carry the water on this. The media is only caring about this. They didn't care about the Solyndra thing. They didn't care about, our border guards being killed. Why? I think because this one, they've been lied to over and over and over again. And the ends don't justify the means because their reporters are the ones who are going to get killed over in the Middle East. It's very selfish of them, but I think that's the only reason why they care. So, conclusions. You have to tell the truth, and you have to do it quickly. If this president is reelected, those guys who are giving you the inside sources, they're done. 2, the Arab Spring, Obama and the media were 100% wrong on. It is a danger to you and the United States of America. Next point. The Arab Islamists are stronger, not weaker. You have not, by killing Osama bin Laden, it didn't do anything because you've screwed everything else up so massively, they have been emboldened. You have just killed an American ambassador, and the Americans did nothing. 4th point, Muslim Brotherhood, bad. This one you have to be very clear on because the Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated our school systems. The Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated our media. They have done our Pentagon, and they have gone into our State Department, our Department of Homeland Security, and this administration. This administration has had them in the Oval Office to meet. When the president says, I'm not going to release the blind sheik, don't believe him because he's already lied to you about this. 5th point, the president, this administration, and some in the State Department are on the wrong side. Whether they know it or not, and I believe some do, they are on the wrong side. They are enemies of the state. 6, massive, coordinated, institutionalized lies have been told to the American people in the last 30 days alone. Whether they are for political purposes or not, doesn't matter. 7, the president is, whether he knows it or not, executing Muslim Brotherhood agenda points directly from the project. You have to decide whether or not he knows. 8, you and your children and your country are much less safe than you were 4 years ago. And we weren't safe 4 years ago. But we have let 4 years slide by. And worse, we have empowered all of the bad guys and eviscerated the good guys. If it's not intentional, it is criminally negligent. But let me make my last point in my conclusion a question. How could this president actually be even considered to be president of the United States when you look at his track record of when he springs into action? How many times have I said in the last 10 years, I could never be the president of the United States because I don't know enough. And I'm going to stand in that office and I'm going to be asked for a gut reaction of something, and I've got to have an answer right now. Right now, Mr. President, we've got to turn the key. Do we turn the key? Yes or no, sir? Yes or no, sir? I don't know. What do you guys think? It's up to you, sir. Answer now. That's the job of the President of the United States. And every time this president has been pushed, this president decides the wrong thing. Let me give you a quick list. And if you're listening, I know you will come up with other lists. Please call us and give us your list. Where the president has sprung into action, the cops acted stupidly. I don't have any of the information. Mr. President, I need your decision now. He volunteers. I don't have any information, but here's what I know. The cops acted stupidly. He was wrong. Egypt, he was wrong. He springs into action to help the Muslim Brotherhood. He's wrong. Libya. Let's go after Libya. He springs into action. All of a sudden, we're in Libya. Why are we in Libya? Do you remember? We have a responsibility to protect. He was wrong. He immediately goes over and starts to negotiate all of our arms deals. Immediately. There's no build up to this. He just goes over and he gives the British codes to Russia. Trayvon Martin, he springs into action. Before anything has been found out, he springs into action. He could have looked like my son. He was wrong. Now, when he is supposed to spring into action, he doesn't. He takes the credit for killing Osama bin Laden. Does anybody remember the stories? The story is that they almost had to force him to make that decision. He had this decision on his desk for almost 6 months. He delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed until finally they said, Mr. President, yes or no. He said, I have to sleep on it. I don't have any information, but the cops acted stupidly. Do you want to kill Osama bin Laden? I don't know. It's a really hard decision. I don't know. Really? Fort Hood, workplace shooting? Your gut tells you what that one is. He says it's a workplace shooting. He doesn't spring into action. He says, let's gather all the facts. We don't know. Let's not jump to any conclusions. He was wrong. The Libya killings. It's all about a video. You knew and I knew. It's September 11th. Your gut tells you that's wrong. But he had more. We now know that the State Department told them that's not what it is. It's a coordinated attack. He was wrong. The Gulf oil spill. Does anybody remember that? Spring into action. We've got a crisis. He's not there for 2 weeks. Where were you, Mr. President? It's a huge disaster. Where are you? The Iranian uprising. Well, let's take our time. He was wrong. Syria. He still hasn't done anything about Syria. The underwear bomber in Times Square. Do you remember that? The underwear bomber. It's Christmas time. Nothing from this White House. The Black Panthers. Nothing. When the Black Panthers took to the streets, while he was defending Trayvon, the Black Panthers start to threaten to kill people. The president says nothing. Every time he's supposed to spring into action because your gut tells you what the right thing to do. Mr. President, turn the key. He chooses wrong every single time. When he shouldn't spring into action, he does. And he's wrong every single time. I'm sorry. But you can make a case that this is just the most inept guy. I didn't know I was hiring a communist with Van Jones. I'm the most unlucky guy in the world. Well, I don't want the most unlucky guy in the world running our country anymore. How about you? Give him the benefit of the doubt. He's the most hapless, sad sack string of accidents I've ever seen. Let's get the bull out of the china closet. Common sense would tell you. But if I may, okay, Fort Hood, we didn't know. The Arab Spring, maybe in your wildest dreams. The Iranian uprising, I can't even begin to explain that one. Syria, what do you do? But I'm sorry. You now have evidence that the president knew in advance about Libya. Our ambassador begged. What was the ambassador doing in Benghazi? Why was he in the most dangerous place he could possibly be without any backup after the day before he writes and says, this is dangerous for me? Why is he in Benghazi?
Not the capital city.
This president is on the wrong side. And if America cannot see this, Mitt Romney, he shot from the hip. He was right. This is a terrorist attack. He didn't have the briefings. He was right. Every time the president shoots from the hip, he's wrong. And when he is informed, he's wrong. I'm sorry. No mincing words. This president, whether he knows it or not, is a danger to the United States of America.